Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
So, this is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio. And with, who am I with again? Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane. Sorry, I don't know.
Charming.
I don't know, my lenses.
Thank you.
Could have been anybody across the way there. They sit the opposite side of the desk, you see, that's the dilemma. You can text us on 8 12 15. And you can follow us on Twitter at Frank on the Radio. Or you can email us through the Absolute website.
I've had a couple of tweets already.
Or you can not contact us at all. These are your options. We've had tweets.
Well, Mark Connor says, incorrect pronunciations. Richard Whiteley on Yorkshire TV in 1983 called the latest Star Wars movie Return of the Jedi.
Marvellous. I should say that we had a thing about people mispronouncing words last week. We've all done it. I remember for a long time Jimmy Hill stopped with Eric Cantona. I can't. What I don't understand, if you take Richard Whiteley saying Return of the Jedi, how do they operate these? Do they not hear other people speaking? That's what it seems to me, that they must be so wrapped up in themselves they don't hear other people speaking.
Perhaps it's just arrogance, they assume they're correct.
But everyone else is wrong. Yeah, but, you'd sort of think that George Lucas and his team will know how to pronounce.
One would hope.
It looks like it's to be fair to Richard Whiteley, God rest his soul.
I played Twister with him once.
It looks like it should be. Really?
That's one of the great showbiz anecdotes.
I imagine he had bad breath. Is that?
No.
Okay. Good. I find that about 68% of people have bad breath.
That's awkward for the people in this room, isn't it?
You know what? You guys, well done.
We've all passed the test,
I've never
have we?
detected any bad breath.
Well, that's nice. My brother phoned me yesterday to say that his girlfriend mispronounces a word, but it's the word escalate. She says escalade, but it only comes up when they're arguing, and she says, I don't want this argument to escalate, which is a really bad time to mispronounce a word.
Does he correct her, though, mid-argument?
I think he does.
Oh, God, that's quite brave. That's quite brave. I told you about when I had... my girlfriend, Kath, she put a 2-pint bottle of milk in the boot, and I said, you've definitely fastened the lid tight on that, haven't you? And she said, yes. I said, really, I've got stuff in there, papers and stuff. She said, I've done. So we drove about 5 miles. I had to get something out of the boot. It was swimming with milk.
Oh, no.
So we had a massive, massive row. And
I would have paid £8,000 not to have been her in that moment.
Well, she got very upset and started crying. And I'm thinking to everything screaming inside me. It says, "No, good crying over spilt milk." But I thought, I can't say it at this stage. I just can't. And I didn't, to my credit.
Wow.
I said it about 4 minutes later when she'd calmed a little. So anyway, I think we should start the day by saying that we were skimming through the papers this morning. Yeah. And Justin Bieber, I think a friend of the show. In many ways, not so much a friend. He's sort of our Peter the Wild. He's our pet teenage trauma on legs, and he's spat on his Canadian fans. Not all of them.
From a hotel balcony.
Well, that was the bit that I didn't realise, because the headline on the front page of the Sun newspaper says Bieber's spit hits the fan, and I thought maybe he's just been singing one of his concerts and a little bit has come out.
And that would be a headline.
I was thinking it must be a very slow news day if that's hit the front cover.
No, it was one of these classic ones. Well, when you're on a balcony and the fans are below, you either hang your newborn baby over the edge or you spit on them. That's the option for kings of pop. And
the fans don't mind, though.
Not our white, obviously. One
of his fans said, "What's so bad with Justin spitting on fans? Every girl in the world would love to get spat on by Justin."
Yeah, I know what she means.
I don't know if she fact-checked that with every girl in the world first, though. That's the...
But I bet a lot of girls would like to get spat on.
I imagine so.
I can't wait until he's fat and old and eating pizza on the sofa and his 15 minutes is up. Sorry.
Really? You gone right past?
Yeah, I'm over Bieber.
You used to be a believer, didn't you?
I'm not anymore, I'm afraid.
Well, a friend of mine who lives in Toronto was actually not only in the crowd, but had a microscopic slide that he caught that gob on, and he's not going to get fat and old, so you might as well get over it. He's very, very poorly.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
So we were talking about the Biebersaurus.
Yeah.
To give him his full handle. The Biebersaurus.
What they did in the Sun, because there's not very much to say, is they went through the tweets. This is the thing now, isn't it? See, this is one of the problems with Twitter. It's just it just gets recycled, doesn't it? So it's people saying stuff. So, for example...
Next up, the problem with mobile phones.
No, but don't you think the problem with mobile phones is you can't find them? Can you find them?
Always. All I've got, where's my phone?
Have you ever done that when people say, "Oh, can you call my phone? I can't find it." And I say, "Well, what's the rate of calling a phone?" You know, you're not even going to answer it. It's just like,
what cost you up then?
Yeah, why don't you rub a bit of aniseed on it and buy a dog rather than expect me to spend money on?
Does the dog go for aniseed? Does it?
Dogs?
Yeah.
Oh my.
Do they?
Yes. I was on.
You're basing this on Cher.
No. I was walking coast to coast with my girlfriend, and we were on the sort of east coasty side. No, the west coasty side. And I said, we were walking through these fields, and I said, "Oh, smell! They must grow aniseed here." And it never occurred to me before. What is aniseed? How does it grow? I said, "Can you smell it?" It was so strong in the air. And then suddenly we had this, and there was about 20 hounds bounding up the path towards us. It's terrifying. It was like Hound of the Baskerville. Mm-hmm. And because Baskerville, I don't know, is basket of veal, French.
Is it?
Did you know that?
No.
That's what attracts
my leg
the
a
hound.
little bit there.
And these dogs all went past, and they were training them to follow. To do stuff.
Follow the aniseed.
Follow the aniseed. Yeah, you remember that? It was the sequel to Follow the Bear. It wasn't as popular. So anyway, one of the tweets is from British-born US gossip columnist Rob Shooter.
Oh yeah.
I don't think he'd have got a phone call if this wasn't the age of Twitter. What do you think, Rob, about the... And he said, "I'm so over this clown."
Yeah, I didn't like...
This is actually a quote from Carmen, if I remember right. I think it's the title of an aria.
I don't like the maligning
over this cloud.
Nice aria.
Thanks. I'm surprised you didn't tell him these.
So
She knows.
Are you still believers? Do you still supportive of his actions?
To be fair to Bieber, that was actually that was an impression of him drowning. When I was a teenager, spitting was quite at the centre of my universe, and I was one of the people who couldn't spit. I couldn't spit distance. You know, there's some people who go and they could hit the wall. Mine just went down my chin. So I did a lot of over-the-balcony spitting because you could just use gravity rather than your... you see, I didn't have the abdominal muscles of Justin Bieber.
No.
I imagine he could have spat right across the crowd.
Well, if he'd leaned back and launched forward, he could have probably got it, right to the other end.
It's a risk, though, isn't it, on a balcony?
I think he might have toppled
any sort
over.
of big torso-based thrust on a balcony can go horribly wrong.
Yeah.
I don't like the Gang of Friends.
No. It's
Do you know the
frat
ones I
boy,
mean?
isn't it?
Yeah.
The people who tried to seize power from Chairman Mao.
No. Those frat boys that hang out with him. I think they're worse than him.
I think if you're a very big star, you have to have a group of horrible people who hang around with you.
Thank you very much. How dare you?
We're happy to be here.
Sorry. Oh, yeah, no, I meant if you're a very big... Anyway. So I did. I spat. It was a big thing, spitting. It was like it was our leisure thing.
Lovely.
When sports equipment wasn't thick on the ground, spitting was... So people would
spitting was.
There used to be this thing where you used to twist up a piece of silver paper and put that, and you used to spit like gob bombs or something. I can't remember quite how it worked. Anyway, I think we should probably change the subject, forgive me. But yeah, if you want to know more about Justin Bieber spitting, read today's Sun. Is that an advert?
Kind of.
Oh, well.
Frank
Skinner.
on Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
Jimmy's been in touch. I say that like he's a long-lost friend. He's not really.
That's a sentence you don't often hear at the Inland Revenue.
Frank, I've been pronouncing it mizzled, for some years now.
Oh, I've heard mizzled before.
I have a fairly senior job, and this has only been pointed out to me recently. My wife also caught me licking my wrists in bed to cool down the other night. It took some explaining.
Yes.
Word to the absolute cockerel and E to the M to the ILY, Alcithy.
Wow, that's got lots of references and ends with Alcithy, which is Freddie Truman's part in shot on Indoor League, an old 1970s daytime TV show. Lovely. Yeah, I've heard a few people say mizzled, but it's good that he's just...
Was that just in your drinking days?
No, I work for the Dangerous Dog League. that dog should be mizzled. I'll tell you, we used to do a thing on the show once, which I sort of put a ban on because we were doing too many, and it was called Idiotic Eureka Moments. And it's when you realise, after a long time, that you didn't get something, and...
that's my part in The French Lieutenant's Woman, you mean?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, get as in not that. Do you think I would have brought that up? No. So we must do a whole special about you, your part and non-part in The French Lieutenant's Woman.
Yeah.
Is it lieutenant or lieutenant?
I say lieutenant.
8, 12, 15, ladies and gentlemen.
Is that nice texting, really?
No, I don't know.
I could ring Meryl Streep and ask her, but I don't have a number.
I think lieutenant is American.
I agree.
In English, and Sandy War is nodding, and Sandy War is one of the cleverest people I know, as I've said many times. Anyway, I was singing Wandering Star. Mm-hmm. You know, the Lee Marvin song from Paint Your Wagon?
Lovely.
Mm. I was born... That one. Mm-hmm. I sing it to my baby to get him to sleep. And there's a line in... And I must have sang that song, without any exaggeration, 300 times. And there's a line where he says, do you know where hell is? Hell is in hello. Heaven is goodbye forever. It's time for me to go. And it was I sang it last night, and I thought, hell is in hello. He means that the word hell is in hello.
Mm. Yeah.
And it's only just occurred to me.
Oh.
What a fool I've been. How can I resurrect my career and become more famous? Oh, I know.
You actually spat?
I did actually spit. I
right
think,
in my face as well. Radio.
You have to join in a bit. Anyway, last week was my last... I've been going around Britain and Ireland with this portrait roadshow.
Yes.
Trying to find out the best portrait painter in Britain.
It's your painting thing?
Yes, my painting thing, as they call it on Sky. We did the last one this week, which was in Glasgow.
Oh, yeah.
And a man painted my subconscious.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like on Goldfinger.
I don't know. What does that mean?
When they painted someone unconscious, he
painted my subconscious. I mean, Shirley Eaton.
Shirley Eaton.
Yeah. Was she? Thanks for the tip. Yeah, that was right. Also, if you paint
I'd like to see your subconscious.
I've seen Shirley Eaton.
Oh.
Obviously, I left the bones. No, I've met Shirley Eaton. And you know what I did? I did the cardinal sin. As soon as I met her, I said, "I was great when you got painted Goldie." And I thought, I can't believe I've done that. Everyone was saying that to Shirley Eaton. I was desperately trying to think of something else she was in, and I think she was in one of the Doctor films or something like that. Anyway, I didn't want to make a fool of myself, so I was just boring instead.
So this chap painted your
Yes, he says I paint subconsciouses. So what you do, if you just sit there... Mm-hmm. And just talk, move about, whatever, and my subconscious will connect with your subconscious, and I'll start painting.
Yeah.
I say, okay. And he says, okay, I'm starting. I'll start now. I said, what are you actually feeling? He says, well, I don't know, because it's going to my subconscious.
That's not a very promising start.
Well, I found it quite interesting. So we had a long talk about this, and he said, I have no idea. I don't have any... It's hard to have a conversation about it because I don't want to get involved in it at all. It's nothing to do with my conscious mind. So at the moment, my subconscious is contacting your subconscious, and then the painting will be a sort of a combination of our two subconsciouses. I said, OK. I said,
Is he coming on to you?
No. So I said, in the mix, what do you think... What do you think will be the percentage of my subconscious and your subconscious? He said, about 50-50. I thought it's good that you've got a... It's that. You can actually give me a figure. But when I got there to have it painted, he was already painting someone else's subconscious, so I had to wait for that to be done.
He?
Yeah. And, he was painting the subconscious of Shabazz from Big Brother 7.
Oh, lovely.
Oh, on the shoulders of giants.
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
Do you know a conversation I had this week? I was talking to someone about my suits. You know, I've got quite a lot of suits. As you know, I have been wearing a suit every day. And
You love a suit.
Unwashed, we might add.
some unwashed. I don't think of washing a suit.
Dry washing.
You washed that suit.
What about when I had to wash Frank's pants?
You didn't have to.
I elected to wash Frank's pants.
You didn't want to. You were hungry to wash my pants. That was. It's a bit like.
You are disgusting.
It's a bit like every
Shall I
woman
go?
wants to be spit on by thing. You couldn't wait to wash them. I'm still wearing them, and you were already.
I'm still here.
Wasn't.
Anyway, so I've found that there is a snobbery about suits, a sort of inverted snobbery, I think.
Oh, yeah.
I wonder if it's because people wear suits for, office jobs, which some people see as like a dull thing to do.
Working for the man, that sort of thing.
So, someone said, I don't actually own a suit.
Oh, yeah.
And it was the use of the word own. I wasn't happy with. If they said I don't have a suit, I don't own a suit. It sounds like it's a conscious decision.
Yeah.
And it's a bit like, we've spoken about this, and when people say, I haven't got a telly.
Oh, I haven't got a telly. Get out, then.
I haven't got a telly.
Get out of my life.
Yeah, I haven't got a telly, that. But it's just, okay, don't have a telly, but don't say it like that makes you a bright person.
Yeah, they wear it like a badge of honour.
I don't have a telly. Oh, don't you? And I think the suit thing is a bit like...
I think you're right.
Yeah, I don't like I'm so crazy and informal. I don't have a suit, and even worse.
And I always think that's respectful at funerals.
Yeah. Well, another one.
What do you do then? What if I passed away? You turn up in old surf shorts? No, thank you.
Exactly. That'd be disrespectful. Well, I think even worse is I've only got one suit. Yeah. That's someone who say that they have they don't think anything of suits, but they do get invited to a lot of important events, so they kind of have to have one because they get.
Although you say that, I did quite like that guy that emailed the show saying that he had one that he'd worn for 20 years for job interviews, weddings, funerals, everything.
But that's
unwashed.
But
the
that's
same suit.
Yeah, you're right. I had respect for that man. I imagine it was Brian Nylon. I don't mean his name, I mean...
But I felt his was more due to inertia, which I have respect for.
Yeah, he was
rather than trying to fight against the establishment, which I don't really have respect
I think there's a period when you wear an uncleaned suit where it starts to become... you start thinking world record. When it's one day at a time with the dirty suit, you start to see how long you can go, I think. So I was all right with that. But I've noticed another thing like this. I don't like it when people say stuff and they're just trying to say something about themselves rather than just answer the question.
What sort of thing are you thinking of?
So when people, in this recent spell of hot weather, I've noticed people make a big point of saying, oh, I love the hot weather. It's great. Because you hear a lot of people moaning about it, and they're trying to say, they often say, you hear people moaning about it, but I love the hot weather. So I'm not like those people who moan about it. I'm a sort of a calypso and cocktails kind of... I love the hot weather. Party, party, party. So I've made a big point of telling people I hate the hot weather now. Actually, I don't mind it, but I don't love it. I like it about 22. That's where I like
Right.
it. I don't want 30.
Is this based on your car aircon or something that you know exactly what degree you prefer it?
I know. I always think 20. Take a jacket, but you can. You might have it over your shoulder for a part of the day.
Thanks, Michael Fish.
That's what I'm thinking. The trouble is, if you don't wear a jacket, like today, I'm just wearing a shirt, but I've got a bag with me. Fine. But if you just wear a shirt and you don't have a bag with you, where do you put stuff? A jacket, for me, okay, it's a jacket, but really, it's a bag. You know, it carries stuff.
like-
Wallet, phone, keys.
Oh, no, I wouldn't want to ruin the line, you see.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm like that. I'm like Dwight York, who apparently bought a Greg's pasty and wouldn't take the change because it ruined his suits.
is that right?
I love the way footballers
It's one of those-
never own coins, do they?
It might
Only
be made up.
notes.
That story might be made up, but that's what someone told me.
I want to
So
interrupt the
effectively-
line of his suit.
Effectively, he's paying a tenner a day for a Greg's pasty.
Emily hasn't interrupted a line since the 90s.
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
We have the news on silent while the show's on. And I know I'm not supposed to refer to it, but, you know, it's the news. It looks brilliant in North Korea. It just looks... I'm starting to don't believe...
What do you mean
looks
brilliant?
Everyone looks... They're so coordinated. It's unbelievable.
That often happens with depression.
But when you get that, well, you know, I bet it's safe to walk down the streets in North Korea. That's all
People
I'm saying.
look coordinated in West End musicals. It doesn't mean...
Yeah, and who wouldn't want to live there? Yeah. I imagine it's like a West End musical, but with less homosexuality. That's what North Korea's like.
I
Now,
imagine it's like a
But I
West
could
End
introduce
musical.
that slowly. You've got to drip feed these people. You can't just turn up with...
They do have there's a strong interior aesthetic. It's like Wallpaper magazine, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it looks tidy and neat. And also, I think people look great with shaved sides on their hair. I was watching Denise Lewis last night on the... she looks fantastic. She looks like a sort of Grace Jones figure.
Well, you could get that. What's
And
stopping you?
Kim
No,
Jong-
he can't get that. It can
He
go a
can.
bit Smike and Nicholas Nickleby, that look, if
I
you're
want
not
you to get that.
careful.
That's all right. I'm happy with that. It makes
It's
me look
worth
like
£9.
a slightly
Get it
troubled
done.
World War One veteran when I get my... But Kim Jong-un has got the same thing.
Yeah, he's looking good, actually.
He's
I think
turning
he
into a
looks-
bit of an OC of mine, Frank.
Yeah, you know what?
He's got it going on.
He's my gay crush.
Oon.
I get it. I get it.
He's my new gay crush, because I've heard Jesse Eisenberg, who was my previous gay crush, he's actually a bit of a nightmare.
Have you?
Whereas Kim Jong-un,
Can they hear
You've
our
only
show
heard
over
good
there?
things.
apparently,
about.
you should see him juggle. Brilliant.
Have we got any listeners, do you think, over there? Oh, I'd love it. if
Have we got any over here after that conversation? Nevertheless, shall we go wandering
To our special place?
to email corner? Is it work? Yeah,
Yeah, come on.
I'll
Let's
do it. Or shall I just play a piece of different music for it?
Okay.
Okay.
This is different music for Email Corner.
Now it's time for email corner. It's shorter and a bit sharper on the ear. What we got?
Well, we're going to kick off with a lady called Shona, and she says this. She says, your show of the 20th of July.
That's a great opener. We know where we are with Shona.
Yeah.
We're going back a week,
Yeah.
I think.
She continues. As the sister...
Don't they all?
She continues.
Okay.
As the sister of, open quotes, Ian sitting in a dark corner making notes, close quotes.
Oh no.
I feel that I should write and set the record
I'll do
straight.
new readers start
Yes.
here. Yes, I was doing some gigs in Soho, some stand-up gigs over the last couple of weeks, and a man sat in the front row. A man with dyed blonde hair sat in the front row. Wasn't Australian. Sat in the front
And it
row.
wasn't David Van Day, we already established that.
And with an A4 pad, and wrote down basically everything I said until I asked him not to, and then he wrote for a little bit more. And in the end, I made demands, and he stopped. And I obviously he was a joke thief. He's a comedian who's struggling and thinks,
Well, not according to
I
his
can
sister.
dine on the crumbs that have fallen from Frank Skinner's table.
Well, his sister says that not so.
Oh,
I can verify that, as he claimed, he is not a joke thief. Far from it, he is just a genuine lover of culture, and whenever he goes to see a performance, be it comedy, theatre, radio recording or concert, he always takes his A4 diary and makes notes.
God, I wouldn't want to go to a lap dancing club with him. Watch where you put in that pencil. Could be like the Lambada. Do you know they say that's how you dance the Lambada? You put a pencil into your bottom, pointy out, and imagine...
No, they don't say that.
They do. That's how you do it. You imagine...
What is it you imagine you're writing? What do you...
You imagine... yeah, you do. That's it.
What? What are you writing?
Figure 8.
Oh,
you
figure
imagine
8.
that you're writing a figure 8 with the pencil that's in your... in your bottom.
Have you done that on the Sky Arts paint show yet?
No.
Have we got time to read the rest of this?
Joan Bakewell refused to join in.
We were in the midst of Shona's email, Shona being the sister of Ian,
Ian the scribe.
who was making notes at your gig.
Makes notes at every gig.
According to Shona, he always takes his A4 diary and makes notes, much like you might take notes at a lecture. He's a genuinely lovely guy and would be mortified to think that he put you off on your gig. He works as a DJ, so if you wanted to see him perform, you can catch him most Friday nights at the Earl of Camden on Parkway. Note-taking not obligatory. He might even let you read his notes. Shona, Jacobsburg.
And she's the sister of...
She's the sister of Ian.
Well, it's lovely, though.
Yeah.
Lovely loyalty.
I want
Yeah.
to know what kind of DJ he works as, though.
I want to know what love is.
I want to know if he's
I
like...
want you to tell me
What do you want to know?
what love is.
Let me see. I think love is the only 4-letter word I don't use whilst having the physicals. What a lovely Lovies cartoon that would have been.
Have you thought about that before? Is that what that guy that painted your subconscious came up with?
I'm going to bring that painting in. It arrives this morning at my house, apparently. My subconscious took a week to arrive.
I'm happy with your... You see, the subconscious...
Oh, I haven't been happy since September the 24th, 1986.
No, but the subconscious of Frank, what I call 2.0, I'm very happy with that.
Okay.
You've nothing to be afraid of.
No. Perhaps Ian could be the saving of us, because what if there's a cyber war and all data is lost?
Data?
Yeah. Then we could be in a situation.
Okay.
We could be in a situation.
We're moving on from data, are we?
Yeah.
It's all gone a bit albino.
All data is lost, and then we would only have Ian's records to be able to reconstruct. You know, I just got Regenerations, which is a Doctor Who box set, right? Of all the,
Let's come over.
Of all, it's beautiful. It is a thing of beauty. Anyway, what they did, one of the episodes of a story called The 10th Planet was lost, and they've used animation and recording that a Doctor Who fan did from his telly back in the 60s. And maybe we'll use Ian's stuff like that. I'll be animated. Adrian Charles will do the voiceover, and we can use Ian's notepad. And those golden gigs will not be lost. Golden gigs, of course, is what you catch if you sleep with the same two brothers.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Who am I? Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio. And I'm with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane. You can text us on 81215, follow us on Twitter at Frank on the Radio, or email us through the Absolute Radio website. Do it. We love to hear from you guys, because you've got interesting stuff to say.
Oh, haven't they? Haven't they ever?
Stroke abuse.
I have an email here that I was going to read. I don't know if you want to do the cymbal crash that you've replaced the email corner jingle with, or if you're happy to just go
Gone a bit
a cappella.
Birmingham Club 79.
You're right. You
going
don't
a
know
cappella?
that.
I don't know it. We are at the helm.
I am at the helm. I don't think we need it. We're in
Okay.
email corner as far as I'm concerned.
We've just heard from Shona Jacobsburg. We're now going to continue. Dear Frank, I thought I should take a moment away from my extensive note-making to send you a quick email.
Never mind getting your sister doing your dirty work. He's finally come out the woodwork, Ian.
Oh, I knew.
Firstly, apologies for distracting you by writing notes during your work-in-progress show at the Soho Theatre last week. Could
I
have just
can't
said
believe it's
show at
him.
the Soho Theatre. theatre, couldn't he? But he adds work in progress.
Yes, well, I think it was very on the surface.
Lets you know. Secondly, sorry I didn't hear the subsequent conversation about it on the radio, brackets. I was volunteering at a daytime concert, close brackets.
Oh, I feel bad now.
Good egg.
I think that, yes. That's a very neatly laid good egg, if you don't mind me saying.
I didn't think I'd be able to listen this Saturday either, as I was supposed to be competing in a 24-hour long-distance relay race in Derbyshire.
I bet that was for charity.
I would have written earlier, but I was helping a blind man across the road.
Luckily, however, a last-minute injury to my Achilles tendon means
So
I
he's
can
done
now
it again now.
tune
He's
in.
injured. He's a do-gooder. He's injured. And he's thrown in a classical illusion.
Yeah.
Well, I think that injury might be his Achilles heel.
I'm calling him the untouchable. He's making himself untouchable.
He is.
I'm also available
Didn't hear
to
it. I
come in.
gave my radio to a street urchin.
I'm also available to come in, fulfil your listener's query and do some sitting in a dark corner making notes on your DJing, if that would be useful. Cheers, Ian.
Well, as I once heard Ringo Starr say to a friend of mine who asked him for an autograph, "No, you're all right." So Ian has he's come out of the dark corner
And can I just say that
come out of the corner.
he finishes the email
with a flourish.
with brackets, not a comedian, critic or plagiarist, just a bloke with a bad memory, his phone number, his email address and his full street address. Now, I worry about people that finish an email with that much information. Surely that's...
To be fair, we should acknowledge the fact attention must be paid. Look, he has written in,
Yes, I appreciate that.
and he's given quite a
his
thorough
sister.
explanation.
Yeah, I think I'm okay.
I'm okay with Ian.
I still don't understand why he writes everything down, but it's fine. I accept that he's not an evil joke cheat.
No.
His reputation has been deblemished. Let's put it that way.
Okay, but can I just say to Ian, please stop putting your full address at the footer of your emails. I just think it's
Especially
risky.
after you've annoyed me at a gig, because I might just read it all out on air.
What if Frank just turns up?
With dog excrement.
Yeah, you could turn up, you know. Unless it's a double bluff and this is like a neighbour's address of someone that he doesn't like.
He's probably just written that down when he's passed someone's house. That would be clever.
Quite a nice address, actually. It's nice, that road. Anyway.
Anyway, Ian, I love you.
We've had word from Vietnam, Frank.
What?
Okay.
Dear Frank, Emily and the Cockerel, listening to the show from Da Nang, Vietnam, together with my wife Min.
My wife.
Yes, he spells it, my wife.
I think there's
does
just
it?
someone responding when you said, have we got any listeners in North Korea? And he's
Yeah.
thinking, I'm probably nearest.
Is it near? I don't know.
It's not North Korea.
Southeast Asia,
Nearer
isn't
than
it?
Hackney,
It'll do.
Okay.
We're on the judging panel for the annual Da Nang Sandcastle competition here tomorrow and really haven't a clue.
It's changed, hasn't it? It's changed, Vietnam.
Can you think of any... I like the way that you sound slightly regretful and wistful about that.
It's tremendous news.
Can you...
It's changed.
Thanks, Alan Partridge. Tremendous news.
I don't remember that, in Apocalypse Now, there was no sandcastle judging. I think it's good. Peace has fallen on a beautiful place, and I'm happy about that.
Can you think of any suitable, knowledgeable sandcastle judge comments to give, or criteria? By the way, my wife is also a regular listener. Is this your first Vietnamese
Hold
listener?
on, one thing at a time. Comments on, what would you, if you were judging a sandcastle contest, Em,
Yeah.
what would be your approach?
It's not my sort of work, I have to say. It's not really in my area of expertise.
I might say to someone, this is over elaborate. Have you got Tourette syndrome?
Very good.
That would be a starter, wouldn't it?
Nice moats.
I think moisture's
Nice
important as
mouth.
well.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Moats are good, aren't they? Around the-
Yeah, they're not moaty, but moats. Yeah, I agree. Yes. Does Glitter still live in Nam?
No, I think he's...
Good. That's it. Everything's got better there. It's a place. I've never been there. I've decided on the strength of this email.
But it's not over yet.
Oh well, we'll come back to it. Because I
Okay.
need to play some music.
Okay.
But yeah, you can have that one. I know it's got its drawbridges, backs.
Lovely.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
I was just reading out Mike's email from Vietnam.
You look great in those glasses.
Do I?
Yeah.
Thanks. Where were we? Thrown by the praise. By the way, my wife is also a regular listener. This is the Sandcastle Judge.
This is
competition.
Min.
Yes, very well remembered.
Okay.
Is this your first Vietnamese listener?
I think it is.
Maybe.
As I have to explain a few of the references, she said that you lot seem to have a lot of fun talking rubbish and telling lies, but they're not lies that would annoy anyone. Love the show, Mike.
Lovely.
I love Min.
Me lie? No, maybe not. No, well, that's lovely. I like the idea that they're on a beach listening to us. They probably aren't. They're probably at home. But I like the idea. I imagine it's lovely and warm all the time, isn't it, in Vietnam?
I suspect so.
Have you been there?
No, one of the few places I haven't been.
Oh, is that right? Let's go and let's just turn up at their house.
What, should we do like a show from...
We could. It's
From
probably
Vietnam.
possible that we could get there in time for the sandcastle competition. Wouldn't that be brilliant?
Imagine if we turned up.
I don't like to rain on
Me
this
in a big
fantasy,
Joan
but
Collins hat.
I've got commitments.
What, the DVD? You're watching that?
He's finally getting round to watching it. It was on special. On special, Frank.
We've all got
Woolies,
commitments.
Everything Must Go.
I brought it for the long haul flight. Yeah.
$1.99.
49p.
I hated it first time. All right. Anyway, that's a lovely
That's
email.
lovely.
And you're right, we do lie, but not in a bad way. Do
It
we
is
lie?
nice. Well, you did say that... Was it Next or Gap that you said you started up 1 week?
Oh, he always tells lies like that.
Hold on, what's your point?
I think that might have been a fib.
Yeah, you don't even remember which one I started up. That's how self-centred you are.
Do you?
Thanks.
That's the question.
Yes, I do.
This is the
It was
most
Gap.
childish argument you've ever had.
Obviously, I didn't start next.
Frank, how come other breakfast shows and things, they go to glamorous locations? We're just stuck in the studio.
Yeah, we could...
The OC takes his team, they went to a shed this week.
They went to
Did they?
America, didn't they?
Did they go to America?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't go nowhere.
It'll be some...
Vietnam we
That's
could do.
because we don't
What about
plan
North
for the
Korea?
match.
Imagine we
World
did the
tour.
show from there.
That would be absolutely...
And then-
Imagine how neat the show would be and how orderly. And
then I can start on my quest to meet...
And we'd
you know
say,
who.
oh, and now it's time for Missile Corner. Dude, where we have to talk about our favourite missiles. And obviously we'd be sponsored probably by a missile manufacturer. And that was saying, by the way, if you're looking for a missile, why not phone Yam Jung Wing, who does some brilliant ones. I'd do it.
I would.
Yeah, I'd
Only because I want to track down...
Kim Jong-un.
yes.
We've
What's
had
the
a text
currency in North Korea? Do you know that?
I don't know, but they're good for... I reckon...
There isn't one. They're so poor there isn't one.
Goodwill.
Yeah, I hope so.
We had a text from 624. I was once chased by a dog while enjoying an aniseed sweet. Remember earlier we were
You see?
discussing...
Oh, yeah.
That's what you call verification. That man has, or woman, has backed me up. I very much appreciate that. And it's I'm surprised you don't know. It's a sort of traditional thing.
Never heard of that.
Frank
Skinner.
on Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
No, we haven't talked about this morning, boys. We need to talk about George, don't we? Royal baby.
Indeed.
I love that Baba.
Dear.
Yeah, I've totally fallen for it.
Oh, that's nice, isn't it?
Fallen for him.
They could have called him the artist formerly known as Prince, couldn't they? Just had a bit of fun with
He's
it.
still known as Prince now, isn't he?
Yeah, but they could have done that anyway.
Could have done that for a
I
lot.
wouldn't have expected people to
I think
scrutinise it.
he's George. He'll be George the Seventh, if he gets to be.
That's
a king.
funny because it sounds quite old-fashioned. It sounds like an old king.
Well, of course, George the First was the inverted commas owner of Peter the Wild.
Do you know that had slipped my mind?
Yeah. I wonder if George the Seventh will have a modern day equivalent. Who knows how society will have changed by then?
Who would it be?
If you don't know Peter the Wild, Ecosia it.
If you don't know Peter the Wild, there's no place for you in my existence.
They could have called him Peter the Wild, couldn't they? That would have been nice, wouldn't it? if they'd said, "Oh, we're
Prince Peter the Wild.
Yeah, we're going to turn the whole game on its head."
Were you excited by it?
I tell you what, I loved it when they emerged from the hospital. I got very excited waiting for that.
When was that?
So that must have been,
Tuesday.
It was the Tuesday. It was the Tuesday.
They emerged, didn't they?
I tell you what I liked. I like that Will's, he's very good with the media now, isn't he? He knows what he's doing. He's all quite practised and media trained. He made jokes about his hair, Frank, which I thought was good.
Oh, I'm on about the actual... Oh yeah, when they emerged. I watched it. We watched it. Kath was very keen on watching it.
Yeah.
We watched it on Sky for about 5 hours.
Ladies love the royals. We love the royals.
Kay Burley, who was like the most hard nosed, had to do Gentle and Loving. It was interesting to watch. But she was going around interviewing the crowds who were waiting outside. There's a certain type of person who attends royal events in lots of red, white, and blue regalia.
There was a very unfortunate comment made as well.
There was, yes.
Yeah.
I don't think we should repeat
I don't think we should.
Can you tell me off air, though?
Yes, I will.
I don't want to be unkind. They're the sort of people who wear a lot of badges.
Yeah.
You know, those sort of people.
Yeah.
And they all seemed, generally speaking, very genial and stuff. But I was surprised what a common denominator there was. And they'd been waiting there, and they'd been to all the royal events, and they had pictures of the Queen T-shirts and stuff like that. Yeah, that was them. And then, of course, Town Crier.
The faux Town Crier.
Oh, I liked him.
Did you?
I like tradition in its many manifestations, but, I've never been partial to a Town Crier. They're a bit full of themselves, generally. Mm-hmm. And even though he was a little old man who a lot of people would have thought was sweet, I thought once they get that bell in their hands, they really fancy themselves. They're power mad, Town Criers.
Yeah. Of course, the palace has got its own crier now, hasn't it? With the baby.
Well,
hey?
Because there's the shouting and then there's the actual... That's
Baby's
brilliant.
cry, so.
That's yeah. Well, I'm just going to... announce that we're going to play some music. Oh yes! Oh yes! Oh yes! I wasn't expecting that. Well, that was just while I was putting it down.
We're humble on this show, and we're always happy to be corrected. I believe Emily said ladies love the royals. We've had a text in from 321. Correction, ladies don't all love the royals.
Oh.
And I think she's right. And she's obviously meaning, ladies love Cool J. That's what ladies love.
80s
not the
ladies
royals.
do.
You've totally missed the quote.
Cool James, I think. Was
No, you're right.
That's what LL Cool J's ladies love Cool James. His name's James something.
Cool.
I feel put in my place.
Yeah.
Okay. So the
like the commoner that I am.
Anyway, the Town Crier he wasn't booked, was he? He wasn't an official.
No, he wasn't an official turn.
I bet his rate's gone up since then.
What do you imagine he's in disgrace? You can't just think. It was a Town Crier drive-by. You can't just turn up and Town Cry.
Well,
official.
He's from Romford. I'm not saying that excuses it, but he did say...
It does help us understand.
So he's driven up there deliberately?
What he's done, Frank, he's driven up there...
Imagine if you step out in front of a Town Crier's car. Instead of a horn.
One more.
I hope he has that as his text alert on his phone.
Yeah, I do.
He said he mounted the pavement, he mounted the steps, because he said he was slightly G'd up by the news crews, the American news crews. They wanted it to be that story.
Of course, yeah. He was probably hired by them.
He said he was high, strung out.
He didn't look
He's strung out. What about the Middletons? They got a cab.
Yeah.
I was surprised they got a black cab. I thought they could have stretched to a cart, maybe.
A stretch limo?
Yeah. But did you see the cab driver afterwards? She was a lady cab driver.
Yeah.
And it was a bit
Didn't she
unfortunate.
say-
She spoke to the papers. Never speak to the papers. They
Didn't
will
she say
twist
she
your
didn't do a
words.
hair or something? Oh, I should have done
She
my
said
hair.
they didn't tip me. And she also said, I get a lot of famous people in my cab. I had Lily Allen, Julian Clary and Russell Grant recently.
Blimey. Is it one of those pink cabs that you see sometimes? Something's attracting them.
What do you think Russell Grant predicted about the royal baby? I bet he said it was a girl.
Yeah, probably, yeah. Well, I don't. I think that's to be fair to the Middletons, and we like to be fair to the Middletons on this show. It was prepaid, that cab.
Yeah.
And
was it?
if I'm in a prepaid car, I don't tip.
Was it a prepaid cab?
I mean, why
Yeah.
bring up the sordid
No,
subject of money if you don't have to?
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah, it was a prepaid.
Well, 'cause I
Apparently,
read
old
that it
man
was a-
Middleton, he offered the pay of the 50, and she said, "Oh no, it's all right, it's prepaid." Then she's moaning to the paper she didn't get
Yeah.
a tip.
And on top of that, it's 15 quid in it. And I thought the taxi culture was you don't really have to round it up if it's like a number like 15 or 20 or.
Do you think that?
I thought so,
I think you'll
yeah.
find that's your culture.
Be amazed if they get a tip out the cockerel.
They do mostly.
Do
I'm
they?
quite good on the tipping, yeah. Not
Is that why you
not as
carry
bad
all
as
that
you might think.
bag of pennies? Okay, well, anyway.
That's why
Give them a little adage, like don't eat yellow snow, that sort of thing. You know,
I
I
thought,
do
did you see the Queen arrive?
No.
No.
Has she
Never
been?
seen anyone look so low in a car.
Was she in a sports
You could
car?
barely see her. No, she was
Is
in
it
the
like a
back
Lotus?
of. It's in the back of. It's a very Lotus. You could barely see her head above the side window. She's really. Is she very, very short?
Yeah.
Looked like the Queen had been in storage and hadn't been properly unfolded. If you can imagine such a thing. Anyway, we can talk about this till the cows come home. But this is no time to speak about bovine absenteeism.
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
I tell you what I've been wanting to talk to you boys about. Have you heard about, there's been a rather, I'm going to call it bit of a Filthy Creeps book club, I'm calling it. It's been launched in New York recently. And it's a topless book club.
Oh, yes, I did. I saw
I like the phrase.
an article.
I like the phrase topless book club because I like it when you're in places and it says like bottomless coffee. You know when you know because that's a phrase, isn't it? Bottomless coffee. Means that
And the
they
places
come
you
round and-
frequent.
Yeah.
means they come round and fill it back up. And I
Oh
always feel
yeah,
like that.
Kelsey Breeze.
Bottomless Pit, I'm familiar with. It was Ingrid Pitt's nickname. Have you seen
Yeah.
Hammer films? She was very flat in the...
But the idea is that these ladies, let's
Yeah.
call them like-minded ladies.
Are they all ladies?
Yes.
Okay.
No, there's a chap. that
Is there a chap there?
Hangs out with them, but I think that's just.
I thought
think
the
he's there
idea
to make up
behind
the
it
numbers.
is that women are sort of reclaiming the right to sunbathe topless.
Yeah.
Because and there's a slight sort of clause in the law or something in New York which means you're allowed to do that.
I have to say, the Topless Book Club, haven't they nicked that idea from Judy Finnegan? Surely she combined those two concepts and made herself a star.
What it is they are insisting
Big
on
white
being
bra.
allowed to meet up in groups wherever men can.
It wasn't ornate anyway, you know.
It's a
You'd
big
think
old white
if you were
bra,
going to
yeah.
present an award, even though it won't be seen, you think I'll wear one of my nice bras, you know,
It's
the
a kind of
lacy-
bra.
Because you know what, Frank?
Not a big white.
You know what my feeling, a big nursing bra. My feeling is I'll know. You know, like
Yeah,
today.
exactly. because
Today
it makes-
I've made an effort. I'm not going to say too much.
Because
but
if
I've made
you've
an
got
effort 'cause
nice
I know.
underwear on, you feel good about yourself. Yesterday, I had
feel like that
Peppa
with
Pig underpants on because it was. That's absolutely true because I'd reached the end of the line, and I never felt fully confident in
You're
the
out of Calvin Classics, were you?
Yeah, well, I'm not. They were on the cloud source. I didn't want to go downstairs with no pants on, so I thought, I'll wear the Peppers.
I don't like the mixture, I have to say.
Yeah, she was wearing a bra that looked like she might have got it on prescription. That's not what you wear to a big night out like that. Anyway, it's a long time ago. We've forgiven her, obviously.
I don't.
I had therapy for 2 months. Anyway, the Topless Book Club.
These people.
What is
I
it
don't like
about?
it.
It's
They're
about
literature-loving
reclaim.
ladies that like to go bare-chested and read books, and they want to be able
Yeah.
to do that where
But there's
men
a
can
man.
go bare-chested. Well, there's a man in one of the pictures. He's got great legs. That's not
Oh,
the
he's
point.
bottomless, is he? He's
No,
he's in the
he's
Bottomless
dressed
Book
up.
Club.
To a degree, the book is secondary. It's about, I would say, although I have to say, this is my idea of absolute hell. Firstly, book clubs are a bit 90s, I find. I'm sorry, but they are. And secondly, no, but I
I'd
don't.
happily join a book
I
club.
don't agree, and I'm sorry to disappoint people, but I don't believe in topless sunbathing. I think why give them a free look, is what
Yeah.
I say.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have to. I mean,
I charge.
they got to at least buy a meal, surely.
At least buy Greg's pasty, keep the change.
No, I think I even as a sort of as a man who might be walking by on the beach, I don't like it.
Don't you?
Because
Why
you
not?
can't. It's a no-win situation. You know, you can't.
Cockerel's quite quiet, Frank.
I'm listening.
Very
there was an
quiet.
incident. Well, maybe I'll tell you this after this, but I find myself in an awkward situation.
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
We were talking about the Topless Book Club.
Yeah, and
I still haven't quite got to the root of what it's all about.
so...
Oh yeah, my
essentially-
incident anyway.
Okay, tell us about the incident.
This is not well, I suppose there's a plug on the way, but it's not. It's not intentionally a plug. You know what? I told you I recorded this like Saturday night shiny floor all round family entertainment, all singing and dancing.
You
show.
love your country.
Yes, it's called I Love My Country. It's being trailed at the moment.
It actually had a very good review I read the other day.
Don't tell me about reviews.
Okay.
Anyway, I should be avoiding those. I'm actually going to live under tarpaulin for 2 weeks till the dust settles. Anyway, it's the first time I've done a real proper big mainstream series like that. It's Saturday night, you know what I mean? So there's a bit. I watched the first episode, and these ladies come on from the Notting Hill Carnival.
Oh yeah.
And all in their glamorous outfits, you know. And there's a bit where they cut to me, obviously looking either at the legs of one
When
of
you say
these.
glamorous outfits, are they in like Zumba outfits or just like
What
evening-
outfits?
Like Zumba.
Is that was payday loan company? I don't know what a Zumba outfit
like
is.
like
You
when
out of
they
your
were
mind.
carnival dancing on a float.
Yeah,
Is that
you know,
kind
what
of-
else are they going to be?
When you said they were in...
There's only two people you ever see dancing at the Notting Hill Carnival: women in elaborate, sexy outfits, and the police.
And the police.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're
And
going for that.
I had to dance to them a bit like a policeman, trying to join in and saying I'm part of the crowd, which they aren't.
Describe your expression then. Did you look a little bit lecherous?
I really
Leery.
wish they hadn't put it in. It was a. I mean, in my defence, it was a look that without it, humanity would cease to exist.
Do you know, I've never felt more ill at
No,
the
but I
prospect
felt
of
ill.
any televisual moment
I feel
in
I've
my
been.
life.
I think I've been betrayed. I think that really, if you sit in the edit, you think, well, we won't put that in because the poor chap's been caught. He's dropped his guard, and a leer has fallen across his face.
What's Kathy going to say when she
When
sees
people,
this?
when they say it, did you see Frank Skinner's Lear? When I imagine people saying that, I was thinking it was going to be at the Royal Shakespeare Company, not on Saturday Night Light Entertainment show. But I do, I lapse, and can I apologise in advance?
Well,
And
yeah.
that's what I imagine the Topless Book Club would be like. Especially if I was their bottomless member.
Or
Also, I
honorary
don't
bottomless
think that
member.
two things are compatible. I think going topless is a bit bad, Sandy, in Greece, and reading, good, Sandy.
Well, you said
The
earlier...
two won't mix.
You said earlier that they read the books, and it says in the article the ladies take the literature side very seriously. But there's a photograph of them, tops off, and they're all reading different books. Now, I'm not an expert on book groups.
You've got to read the same.
But you're an
All reading
expert on
the same
topless sunbathing. Oh,
Exactly.
God.
No, it's. I'm not happy with it. I'm sorry.
What about sad books? What if they end up weeping all across their own chest? That's not
That's
ideal.
all right. That's all right. I don't have a problem with that. Yes.
I don't know if I'd like that.
I think we should continue this off air.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane. You can text us on 81215. Follow us on Twitter at Frank on the Radio, or you can email us through the Absolute website. I tried to do one of those things they do on the adverts when they go at the end. All conditions all over.
Yeah, T's and C's.
Failed.
And you end up, I think you might have said Fink on the radio, which I quite like.
Think.
Fink
Yeah.
on the radio.
Yeah, I like him.
I've been called a Fink before now. So yeah, the Topless Book Club, that was that. And I prefer a conventional bookmark. Personally. I think it's showing off, isn't it? If they're not reading the same
It
book.
depends, doesn't it?
Well, the people who like nudity are people who shouldn't be naked, usually.
Oh, you're so right. Like that naked bike ride. Do you know, I'll never get over that.
Although I quite like...
Weirdos.
I mean, why not other stuff, you know? Why not stretch it out? Topless book club to...
Some of them have stretched it out.
Yeah. Topless cooking. I did a bit of topless cooking the other day. Dangerous. Don't fry.
Did you?
Don't fry.
Oh,
I ripped my shirt off in the garden and then I kind of came in and did a bit of, but don't fry. So hot fat splits up.
Oh, I can see you, with a cut-off jean short, Huckleberry Finn style.
Yeah, topless darts, that would be a good idea as well.
I dated a
Topless
naturist.
darts. Did you?
Mm.
Did
How
you?
did that go?
It's all right. Took some of the novelty out of it, I'll be straight. One likes to feel one's getting a certain exclusivity.
That's what I mean. I'm not going to date 3 in one fell swoop. I won't do it.
I've done that.
No, you're quite right. Although I have read By the Light of a Glow-in-the-Dark Prophylactic, but that's it's a different story. Don't try it. The Moths.
I love their music.
Yeah, they are. The second album was particularly good. So what else, guys?
Well, what about this? Did you read about this caretaker in Pittsburgh? I was going to say it like Pittsburgh, PA. Yeah, no. He did something. This is an awkward subject. I think, I need to tread carefully here. It involves the consumption of alcohol, Frank.
Oh, yes.
This
is the whiskey keeper.
Yeah.
Keeper
The
of the
whiskey
whiskey.
keeper, yeah. He was tasked with guarding $100,000 worth of vintage whiskey, and it turned out he drunk it all in a year. 50 so he basically had a bottle a week. That's not that bad, really.
Yeah, but there must have been that point where week 1... He's got 52 bottles. So week 1, he has a bottle, and he thinks, "Oh no, I shouldn't have done that, really."
Yeah.
But let's stop it there. I can say it was knocked over. And then the next week, so it's not like he's gone mad. No one's suggesting he drank 52 in a night. I reckon what happened is he couldn't get through a whole bottle, so he'd drink about 3/4. Which is reasonable. And then he'd go back the next week and think, well, I can't leave that bottle like that. He'd have the quarter, it'd be just enough to rattle his willpower. So he starts another one. It's like a domino effect.
Would you say a bottle a week of whiskey, though, was that a slow week for you back in the day?
I only drank whiskey when it was free, so I can see his temptation. No, I
He's
would be
living his life
very
by the same rule.
I would be surprised if he's only drinking that free whiskey. I'd say he's a man who...
No, you're right.
He's supplement. It's a supplement.
The owner of the house that is got him on trial, she's also wants him tried for the theft of 200 bottles of Coca-Cola as well. So
Yeah.
it's whiskey and Coke.
And ice. A lot of ice has got missing.
Still a lot of ice off her.
No, well, he said, didn't he, that it had evaporated.
He said, I didn't do it. I love
It's
it.
up there with my
evaporated.
favourite ever excuses. I didn't drink it all. It must have evaporated, and it probably wasn't that good anyway because it was that old.
Yeah.
I don't know if we've said it's from the Prohibition era.
Was it?
Yeah. Somebody had stashed it in the building, and then the building's been sort of made up, and someone was doing some
so it was
renovating, and they
booty?
found... Yeah.
Well, if it was booty, he's entitled to drink it.
I'm not sure if that's how the law will see it, but yeah.
Well, I'd say that's a booty call. That's
Please
what
see
I'd
earlier story.
say. Yeah, I think I've changed my mind. That man's innocent, and I will fight for him. I'm all right. I'm just going to pen a protest song.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
So we're talking about the whiskey man. It turned out the whiskey, he said it evaporated. It wasn't me, he said.
I like the use of the word evaporated, as if it was milk.
It does evaporate now, whiskey.
In corked bottles when it's been there for hundreds of years.
Yeah, but when
probably.
Frank starts defending someone, he won't get off that horse. That's it.
It's like this with Kim Jong-un.
Just say,
Kim
that's
Jong-un,
it.
innit?
Oh yeah, you people, you can make a noise for the surname. Have some respect.
What about that Birmingham man?
Oh yeah, can we discuss the Birmingham man? Do you mean the bloke from the Dudley bloke?
Yeah.
The chap that
I wasn't talking about you in a very rude fashion, by the way.
No.
About that Birmingham man who did all right for himself.
Let's discuss it tentatively.
Okay.
The
Yes.
chap was stopped by the police.
He was.
In an area where ladies of the night frequent.
Yeah.
And one of them was in his passenger seat while he was getting money out of the cash machine.
£20.
And he said that he was buying tomatoes.
For £20.
Yeah.
Yeah.
£20.
She was in there to show him where to buy tomatoes. It's obvious.
That's good. Is that answer the question?
I love it.
Sadly, it seems so. He has been convicted.
Oh,
He
really?
was charged, yeah. He's been fined.
Yeah, but I tell you, there's a quote that I really like. That was, a spokesman for the West Midlands Police said, they told the story and they said, luckily our officers saw through his lies. Well done, the officers. But I wouldn't even call them lies. It's such a ridiculous... Like, his lies, like he put together this very careful, elaborate web of deceit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was... she just showed me where to get some tomatoes.
Do you think that's what happened? I think he panicked his way to tomatoes. I think he was like, oh yeah, I was just out doing a food shop. I want melons, plums, little fried eggs, sausage. No, tomatoes. That is safe. That is definitely safe.
Yeah.
What if he's telling the truth and we're sitting there in this man who's been... who once again, another victim of injustice?
£20. Come on.
They could make a film about it, like that Daniel Day-Lewis and Pete Postlethwaite one. The miscarriage of justice one.
I don't know.
I can't remember what it's called now.
Oh, my left foot, one of those.
That's the one.
My left foot.
No, not that one.
One of my favourite I interviewed
Collins.
some West Brom players the other night. At an event at Birmingham Town Hall. Players from the late 70s, early 80s. Yeah.
Oh, how did that go?
I had a great time.
That's what counts.
Yeah. And one of the players, he's called Willie Johnston, and famously, he in a League Cup game, he kicked the referee up the bottom quite hard and was sent off. And his excuse was, he said, I didn't mean to kick him up the bottom, but he turned round at the last minute. Excellent.
That is a good excuse.
I once went to see All In Wrestling at Smethwick Baths, Thimble Mill Baths in Smethwick.
Grappling, didn't you, back in the day?
And I remember the MC said, we were expecting Klondike Jake. There was the Klondike brothers were quite famous. Like, there was sort of the early prototype for Giant Haystacks.
Oh, yeah.
And
I was a huge fan of his.
he said Klondike Jake can't be here tonight because he's in Glasgow.
Oh.
Which I didn't think really constituted an excuse. I mean, I know geographically he was correct that you can't be in two places at once, but he promised.
Had he, though?
He was on the posters.
Oh, right, yeah.
Anyway.
It's difficult when you have a problem that sounds like an excuse. Like, I've had phone problems recently, and when people say, "Oh, I've been trying to get hold of you about that bit of work," and you're like, "Yeah, I've got email and phone problems."
Yeah,
and you think,
no one
just
believes
sounds
that.
like
No one
believes email
that.
problems, do they? Email problems just sound.
Everyone gets every phone call.
Daisy producer did that to me once.
They do.
It was
They
a
do.
saga that went on for months.
If anyone says that to me, "Oh, yeah, I've had real problems with the text just lately," I think it's okay. Just say I didn't want to answer it. Yeah, there are some excuses that you just can't. I mean, if I am ill, if I'm properly ill, and I'm not doing something because I'm ill, and I speak to someone involved, I make myself sound more ill.
Oh, you put on we all do the croaky voice.
Even though I'm ill. Why am I having to prove? Why do I feel I have to lie ill if I'm ill? That's this week's texting. We haven't had a text-in this week.
No.
I sometimes think we're not interactive enough.
Now, but
What
what
worst
about...
excuse you've ever heard? That's that sort of thing.
Okay.
But unfortunately, obviously, we don't have a context to ask that. Okay, what's the worst excuse you've ever heard? There you see, that weren't so bad, was it?
Okay, yeah. Let's see how it goes.
Oh.
Frank
Skinner.
on Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
We were asking if we had any listenership in Da Nang earlier on.
Did we ask that?
Well,
Kind of a jumped-up query, isn't it?
it wasn't that specific. I think we said, how far away do people listen? Or something along those lines.
I was intrigued
doing
by...
your own show.
I was
Never said
intrigued
nothing of the sort.
by the Vietnamese demographic.
I'm
I won't
excited that people listen to us in Vietnam because it seems like
Well, we've had an email from
a
Yvonne,
different country in many ways.
and the indications look good because the email is titled Da Nang. Hi, Frank.
I know, I prefer... Oh, Da Nang.
We too are sitting in Da Nang listening to your broadcast. We're on our honeymoon. We were very surprised to hear your recent call-out referencing the couple who will be judging the sandcastle competition here in Da Nang, Vietnam. Small world.
It is.
It's nice, isn't it?
But why don't you go tomorrow
Yeah, Yvonne.
to that, and then you get to go over to the couple?
Who judges it?
What were they called?
Paul Da Nang judges it.
Min and...
Oh, yeah, Min.
go over and say
Min and
hello.
Mike. Mike and Min.
That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
That's what they're called, Mike
you
and
might
Min.
make a Mike and Mindy. Dopey me. Yeah, that's how friendships are formed.
Is it?
There's many a friendship formed over a sandcastle. There was in my childhood. On the twice we went to Barry Island. Okay.
Is it time for a little email, Frank?
I'm happy to go to email corner. I'll see what we got. Email corner. All right, we've arrived now.
Okay. You were talking...
You have to do that because it's very foggy on around the interior. You have to warn people.
You did a gig in Birmingham this week. I say
did.
a gig. There was something of a corporate element to it. But it says, my fiancé and I, we got engaged 2 weeks ago, thoroughly enjoyed your 3 Degrees Cooler, an evening with the legends of West Bromwich Albion in Birmingham on Wednesday. It was brilliant. We unfortunately had to rush off at the end to catch the last train home, leaving my fiancé's colleague at the town hall. Once home, we went on Facebook to find that the colleague had been invited backstage to meet you and have a photo with you. My fiancé was beyond distraught. As I'm sure he won't mind me saying this, you're his hero. He's come to a number of your shows. I even made him a Frank Skinner mug for Christmas this year with pictures of you doing your pants dance for Britney Spears.
Lovely.
I hope we got clearance for that picture.
I was hoping you could give him a shout-out on Saturday. He always listens to your show. His name is Michael Eaglesfield, and it would literally make his year and make up for missing out the opportunity of meeting you. That's from Antonia Rossiter.
Antonia Rossiter, my God. Well, okay, Michael Eaglesfield.
Well, they must be living in sin then.
You're going to give him a shout-out?
I will. What about is a big shout-out for Michael Eaglesfields in the house?
Yeah.
Let me hear you say, yeah.
Shout-outs. It's like Steve Wright in the Afternoon on BBC One when I was at school. They used to do shout-outs.
I don't really do shout-outs.
Well,
but I did like the
17th
century French writer who described London as one long shout. Excellent. Yes, it was a fabulous night, I must say. If you like in-jokes, I mean, I did 15 minutes at the top, and it was the most hardcore West Brom reference.
Yeah.
Honestly, the guy, like the sort of stage manager, who's from Devon, said to me, "Can I just say, well done, but I didn't get one of those jokes."
Oh, really?
They had punchlines like, think of the money that would have saved Liam Ridgewell. So I'm not going to repeat any here, but there was some fabulous stuff. For example, I interviewed Cyril Regis. You've heard of him at least?
Oh, yeah.
Me and him got the Freedom of Sandwell together, the same ceremony.
How
Me, him, and Julie Walters.
He's a big lad, isn't he?
He's muscular. And he was telling us that he used to live in Harleston in North London, and he got a phone call from a mate saying, "Come round our house. Me sister has met Muhammad Ali in a club, and he's coming back. He's coming back to our house in Harleston." So all these blokes lined up, with to get his autograph. So Muhammad Ali has met this young woman in a club. I think we can safely say there's only one reason he's gone back to a house in Harleston. So when he gets
He wasn't buying tomatoes.
No, and when he gets there, there's loads of young men with autograph books waiting for him. The horror. The horror.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Talking about excuses this morning on Absolute Radio. We've had one in. He doesn't have... I'm not quite sure what his name is. It seems to be Operations. I don't think that can be a name. Anyway, he says, worst excuse I ever heard. A boy I went to school with came up with a great excuse for not doing his homework. He said he got a bee trapped in his pencil case, so he couldn't open it in case he got stung. so much more thoughtful than my dog ate it.
That is
that.
Excellent. And it could be true.
Yeah.
Well, we've heard from Dean in East Finchley, who also has a good... Worst excuse I ever heard was a frequently late worker was asked by his bosses in Sellafield why he didn't turn in on the Monday morning, His excuse was that on the Sunday his children had been playing football in the front garden and had smashed one of the window panes in the front door. To prevent a draft, he blocked the hole with a jumper. He said the following morning when his workmates came to pick him up, instead of knocking on the door, they must have knocked on the jumper, and he didn't hear them. He was sacked. Finishes
Really?
Dean in East Finchley, yeah.
That's
So there
all
we go.
I like the idea that they would have knocked on the jumper,
Yeah.
but it wouldn't occur to them, from the spongy muteness of their knocking, that it wasn't all right indoors.
It's perfect.
What about Jill says, "Hi Frank, I think people exaggerate when they're really ill because they've lied about it previously and it's kind of a residual guilt."
Oh, yeah.
What do you think? What do you say to that?
Well, I've never... I don't lie about being ill, because I always think if I lie about being ill, I'll get ill as some terrible divine punishment.
I only did it once when I was at the Gap working as a greeter, and I said I had appendicitis.
I wonder if this is when I was managing.
I said I had appendicitis because I had my university interview.
Is this you now? You're reading
no,
this
this
out?
is me.
Oh,
This
okay.
is me.
Sorry.
You go back
worked
to
at
your
the-
Emily Dean
I
voice
worked at the
rather than
Gap
the reading voice.
in Oxford Street as a greeter. I went, "Hi and welcome to Gap."
Oh,
Hi,
lovely.
welcome to Gap. I carried on in that vein.
It'd have to be an injured larynx to stop you doing that job. You
Well,
could
I had
do
my
that.
university interview, and I was too scared to say, "Look, actually, I've been lying, and this wasn't a career job; it was only a summer job."
Oh.
So I said it was terrible. So I just
a
didn't
gap
go
year
in,
job?
and my mum said, "You're going to have to say you're ill." So I said I had appendicitis,
Right,
and they
you
sent
say-
cards, they sent flowers. I went back into
Oh,
work.
that's worse.
Frank, it was awful. I said, "Oh, it really hurts. It's okay now." She said, "Your appendix isn't on that side."
Oh, no.
I swear she said that.
But you should have said, "Isn't it so hard to detect localised pain when you're in agony?" Oh dear, I feel sorry for the people who sent flowers from Gap. Now that you've done well for yourself, couldn't you send them a little refund?
I don't know where Wayne or Prince are. I'll try and find them.
Oh, we know what Prince
What, you were
is.
managed by two Alsatians? Anyway.
Can I tell you, I haven't talked at all this week
What?
about
No,
an
well, I wouldn't go
excursion.
so far as to say that.
An excursion I had midweek
Oh.
with Bob from the show and Daisy from the show.
This is like when you find out, don't you think, Al, when you find out that your friends have been somewhere without you that you weren't even asked about.
I do feel a bit like that.
We went off, didn't we?
What did we miss?
Oh, we
Last
had a
time it was
lovely
the Rolling
evening.
Stones. What was it this time?
This time, well, we're something of an unusual triumvirate, but I think it's working. I think it's going well. I think this might be our second evening out. We went to see Russell Kane. 'Cause
Oh,
yes,
okay.
I'm working with him soon. I'm
Yes.
in Edinburgh. So
Yes, I should say, because you probably won't, that Emily is co-hosting a kind of a comedy chat show.
correct.
Which I said, what's it on, Bob?
It's on.
Go on, I'll translate for you. Don't worry about the fact you're not amplified. You don't even ever look at that microphone longingly again or you're fired.
It's on Yahoo's website. Come on.
Did you hear that? Yes, on the
Yeah.
Yahoo website. The Yahoo have decided they're going to start making comedy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I would give a big whoop of delight. But I think it might be promoting them in some way.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
So, I'm in a theatre in Islington with Bob from the show and Daisy from the show and me from the show. It's very hot. It's a bit of a Turkish bath situation. Russell's opened the
Are you
windows.
telling me you took Daisy and Bob to a Turkish bath?
It was a bit of an eye-opener. Russell's opened the windows, it's so hot. He said, "I don't care about the noise from the bars downstairs, it's too hot." It was considerate of him. These people all filing in, these people come and said, it was the day that the royal baby news was announced. I think the news must have been announced about 5 or something, that's when I heard.
Really?
So these people come and...
No, I think it was about 8, wasn't it?
No, it was
the
about
morning?
an hour and a half. No. It
No.
was definitely... It had happened. It happened at 4:45, didn't it? Or 4:41.
Yeah.
I know a lot about it. I think the news was released about an hour later, let's say.
I've got a Royal Baby app on my phone and it still hasn't told me that there's a baby.
That's not my problem.
I've got raw baby crap on my phone. I left it there to try and pick up some private conversations.
Anyway, so
Oh,
will you-
shit, I think
listen,
it was 8 o'clock.
you'll probably sympathise.
Text in, but only if I'm right.
You'll probably sympathise with these people. The people in front of us, very Islington. The men had those tartan shorts. The women had what I call socially responsible clothing. That's what they were wearing.
Okay.
And they start talking. One of the guys, and I hated this man. I didn't like him. You know when you take against someone, I just didn't like him.
I know when you take against someone.
And I really did. He suddenly said, "Well, have you heard about the royal baby then? It's got a name." I must have been the name announcement, so it was a name announcement.
Right.
Sorry. So
changes everything.
It does change everything.
Hold that text. Yeah. Too late, we've had the 50p's. Oh, well.
He said, "It's got a name." And the socially responsible clothing women went, "Oh, what is it?" And he was acting, it was like he was Walter Cronkite announcing JFK's death. He was so self-important, he went, "Oh yeah, I know what it is. It's George Alexander Louis." And they went, "Really?" And I hated the whole thing. I hated him. I didn't like the women.
Why do people say "really" in that context?
Yeah.
Is he going to say, "No, it isn't"?
I didn't like it. And also I didn't like that the Islington women were a bit, I don't know anything about royalty in that way.
See, that's a bit of, I don't own a suit.
Exactly. It was like, I haven't bothered keeping up with the news.
Yeah, because, that's the sort of news that common people are interested in. That's the suggestion.
I got a bit angry. I said, "Oh, God, these people."
Did
I
you?
said, yeah. And
How
they
loud?
Pretty loud, wasn't it, Daisy?
Did you?
And then I said, "Haven't you got smartphones?" Very loudly. I know. I got angry. But then, Fang, it got even more orcs because Russell was talking to the audience. He said at one point, "Has anyone ever dated someone from the north?" And I think he thought Bob said something. He said, "What did you say, mate?" And Bob's industry. It's difficult for him. And Bob said, "Nothing, mate. I didn't say anything."
Bob's arts and crafts. He shouldn't be asked. Could have been worse, Bob. He could have asked you about your personal hygiene.
Yeah.
But Bob went...
In case you don't know, Bob doesn't. Bob basically doesn't. I think once a fortnight, Bob's partner gives him a rub down with some Dettol and a J-cloth. Bob stands in the sink at their place. Thank God he didn't ask you about that. Oh, what did you do, Bob? Did you answer?
Bob cited the Shaggy defence. He said it wasn't me.
It wasn't me.
And as a comic, I suppose that's not helpful, is it?
No,
Someone says that.
I bet he hated Bob. I bet he thought Bob's brought me down now. I bet he didn't think Bob, obviously didn't know who you were, but, oh God, there'll be payback on that, trust me.
So when that happens at gigs with you two then, not suggesting that you do a Strange Chuckle Brothers show together,
No.
but how does that, is that difficult though when someone...
What's this?
But we keep our live work very strictly apart, don't we?
Oh.
We perform in the same city within a month of each other.
I don't know, I've performed on shows when you've hosted.
Oh, yeah.
Have you?
And vice versa, in fact.
Oh, yes.
Ditto.
So that was a tissue of lies.
Yeah.
Bless
trip
you.
down memory
Thank you,
lane.
Okay, so my question is, I know, but I'm interested by the nature of heckling. What's the worst kind of heckle then?
But that wasn't... See, that's not really...
That's not a heckle, you're right.
No.
What's the worst audience response?
I think sometimes audience people don't... They answer as if you're having a conversation in a public. The worst one that sticks in my mind, this is a pretty horrible story, but I'm doing a gig in Manchester. It's a big gig, it was storming. I said to this bloke, I was talking about kids. I said, "Have you got kids, mate?" He said, "Not alive, no." And that's quite a difficult moment
awful.
in a comedy thing. Now, I'm sure he was telling the truth, but why didn't he just say no?
Yeah.
Or yes. I said, I'm glad he didn't say yes, because it would have been awkward. But
Yeah.
Or he could have done a mock feint. Or he could have... Or he could have said it wasn't me, the Bob approach.
The Bob defence.
Yeah.
I was once told by a man in Glasgow on the front road that he'd had 2 triple heart bypass operations in the previous 4 months, and I said, "They're like buses, aren't they? You wait all your life and then 2 come along at once." And he went, "Oh, levity's a wonderful thing, isn't it?" And I was like, "You're in a comedy club, you're here for levity. Levity pays my mortgage, mate." I think it's a bit of a weird one to, talk about.
Those are the
something and then
worst ones,
retract
when
it.
someone says something tragic in the middle of a...
Okay.
Yeah.
You didn't say anything tragic, Bob, that's good.
Well, I don't know. I think it wasn't me, it's fairly tragic. And Russell just left it at that. He didn't pursue.
He let you off.
He found the person who it was.
Oh, right, nice. I'm impressed that he's even talking to the audience now, because I think I don't think I have a big ego, but
Bitterness alert.
I'm speaking to the audience even less than I than I used to, partly because I'll ask somebody a question, and as they're answering, I'll realise, I don't really care about this. I'm more interested in whether my new jokes work or not. So I just sort of fade out and think, why don't I just tell you the stuff that I've come here to tell you, and then we'll go home.
You can see why we don't have the texting. The cockerel says, who cares what they think? Well, I can only apologise to our readers for the cockerel's dismissive attitude.
I was speaking strictly about my stand-up there.
Yeah, I find people say, people can take you to some fabulous places.
Yeah, I'm going to bring it back. I'm going to talk more on my next tour.
People
Tickets
can take
will be
you
on
to some
sale
fabulous
from January
places.
2014.
In my experience, Premier League football is the best.
David Baddiel tells a story about when I was at the Comedy Store and a man shouted out, I remember... I was with you at medical school. It's a very bizarre thing. And I said, I remember you. You were the one in the jar. And David Baddiel still quotes that as the moment he fell in love with me. That's about it, I think. If the good Lord spares us and the creeks don't rise, we'll be back again this time next week. Now, get out.
Frank
Skinner.
on Absolute Radio.
Absolute